This is the Samsung S22, and after 3 years since its launch, this has become one of the best choices for anyone who's looking for a premium compact smartphone without breaking the bank. But what is it like to use in 2025? That's what we're going to be finding out in today's video. We'll be taking the S22 through its paces. We'll be looking at the display, the performance, the cameras, the software, and of course the battery life to see if it's worth purchasing one of these in 2025. It's currently $939, our battery percentage is now at 99%. Let's get into this day in the life. It's currently 10:29 and our battery percentage is at 85%. Now let's talk about the display on the S22. At 6.1 inches, it's a compact phone for sure. It feels like the perfect size for someone like me who has small hands. Specs wise, it's running an AMOLED panel with HDR10+ certification, so you get some good colors and great contrast ratios. It's great for watching movies or content. It also has an LTPS 10 to 120Hz refresh rate for smooth and fluid scrolling, which looks great. It isn't LTPO, but you probably won't notice the difference. Resolution is at Full HD+, which at this size is plenty sharp enough. Now my only issue is the brightness, which at 1300 nits peak can be hard to view in direct sunlight. It wasn't super bright today, but on other days it can be really hard to see the screen. So altogether, the display on the S22 deserves an A- grade. So overall, not too bad, but still missing a couple of flagship features. It's now 10:50 and our battery percentage is at 82%. It's been draining quite quickly, so we're gonna see if this thing can still last until the end of the day. But here we are at uni, so let's get going on with this day in the life.
How you going, man?
Alright, so it's now 12:39, our battery percentage is at 68%. Now let's talk about the cameras on the S22, which when they first came out were pretty standard. You have a 50 megapixel main wide camera with OIS, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 10 megapixel telephoto, and a 10 megapixel selfie camera, so they're all pretty basic, but pretty standard back in the day. So let's take a few photos and see how they look in 2025. Starting off with the main camera, we get some interesting results. Photos are sharp and clear, with good dynamic range, but do look overexposed at times. In dark environments, it's a little noisy, but mostly clear. Switching to the telephoto lens, we get some good photos with good dynamic range. Images are a little softer, but not over-sharpened. I did notice there were some weird color changes on some of the photos where Joe's face is unusually red, which is a bit strange. On the ultra-wide camera, results are good as well. Decent dynamic range and sharpness, but nothing amazing. Selfies are about what you would expect, good but not amazing. However, once again, it's the same cameras found on the newer standard S25. Apart from the newer software enhancements, the hardware is actually all the same across the S22 all the way to the S25 cameras, which is kind of crazy to think about. When it comes to video quality on the S22, you can shoot up to 8K on the main camera, but obviously on the other cameras you can't shoot up to 8K. I'm shooting at 4K and honestly the footage is alright. It's not amazing by any means, but it looks good. And this is what it looks like on the ultra-wide lens. Kind of the same story as the main camera. It's decent, but nothing too amazing. So altogether, the cameras on the S22 get a B grade. Honestly, it's not a bad setup, but it isn't that great. It doesn't have large sensors or a higher resolution on anything except for the main camera, so there isn't too much to work with. But if you are looking for a phone with a decent camera setup, then this is definitely still great. It might still be better than some mid-range phones, but there are other mid-range phones that do have slightly better cameras, so keep that in mind. Anyway, it's now 12:48, 12:49, our battery percentage is at 60%, so still draining pretty quickly, but now time to get some lunch. Alright, so it's now 2:23 and our battery percentage is now at 51%. Now let's talk about the performance on the S22, which is equipped with the Exynos 2200 or the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, depending on which region you are in, alongside 8GB of RAM and UFS 3.1 storage speeds. But so far, from my day-to-day usage, things have been running pretty smooth. Apps do launch pretty quickly, and while there have been some stutters, a little bit of lag here and there, for the most part, everything is pretty smooth on the S22. But in terms of how it's held out over the last few years, I really do feel like the flagship performance is not really there anymore. One issue I've found is that it overheats quite easily, especially when you're gaming. Yes, you can play Genshin Impact at high graphics with almost no stutters, but the phone gets pretty warm to the touch after just a few minutes. And even when you're on social media and scrolling on 5G, this phone does get pretty warm after some time. If you're planning on doing heavy multitasking or a lot of gaming, then the S22 probably isn't the best choice for you. But if you're just planning on doing social media and not much productivity, then the S22 could be a great choice for you. So that's that on the performance side. Now, gonna get some more work done.
Oh, hi guys, long time no see. I'm back and I can speak again. So you're gonna hear from me every day for the rest of eternity because we're all going to heaven. Let's go.
Alright, so it's now currently 429 and the battery percentage is now at 28%. Let's talk about the design, software and the features of the S22. Starting off with the design, the S22 went back to glass, going from plastic on the S21. But otherwise looks pretty much exactly identical to the S21 line of phones. There's vickless glass on the front and the back of the phone, which is great to see, along with IP68 water and dust resistance. On the software side, you are getting One UI 7 and soon to get One UI 8. However, One UI 8 will probably be the last software update the S22 is gonna get because the S22 line of phones only get 4 years of major OS upgrades, which kinda sucks. But other than that, everything runs pretty smoothly on here. The S22 line of phones do support most of the Galaxy AI features, so if you are after that, then the S22 is still a great choice. On the feature side, you get an ultrasonic fingerprint reader, you get USB 3.2 along with wireless charging. So altogether, the features, software and design of the S22 gets a B+ grade. It has all of the features that you would expect from a high-end flagship phone. It feels premium and looks great, but doesn't have many years of software support left. It only has 1 more year left. Now I'm gonna head back to campus before heading off home. Let's get going now.
About anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus.
So I'll just go home and the S22 has just died. So I'm gonna go and get some dinner. Then I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts about the S22 once it's charged up. Alright, so it's now 6:53, but the S22 had died at 5:45, which means the S22 does not pass my day in the life test, but let's take a look at the battery performance to see how it actually did. So when it died at 5:45, we had a screen on time of 40 hours and 12 minutes, which altogether is pretty poor. Now do keep in mind that this phone is 3 years old, so the battery has been degraded slightly, but still not a great look for the S22. Altogether, the battery performance gets a B- grade. So let's wrap up my thoughts about the S22 in 2025. A lot of people who are looking for a compact smartphone that feels premium without paying a lot of money should really consider S22. It has a nice display, decent cameras, decent performance as well, and also it still has 1 more year of support, but the battery life is not very good. So that is what you need to keep in mind if you are considering the S22. Altogether, the S22 gets a 72 out of 100 or a B grade. So that wraps up my thoughts on the S22 in 2025. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys in the next video.